Did you know that the entire redemptive plan of God in the Bible literally flows through Jerusalem? Check this out. In the book of Genesis, God promises Abraham the land of Israel, which would obviously include Jerusalem in Genesis chapter 12. In Genesis chapter 14, there's a high priest named Melchizedek who is a king and a priest, and he rules over Jerusalem, foreshadowing Christ, who thousands of years later will rule as a king and priest in Jerusalem. On Mount Moriah in Jerusalem, Abraham offered Isaac as a sacrifice, as a foreshadowing of how God the Father sent Jesus to be a sacrifice. Jesus died in the same mountain region where Isaac sort of was mock offered to God. David purchased the threshing floor of Orna in Jerusalem, and that site later became the temple that Solomon built in Jerusalem, where they would sacrifice a lamb every morning and every evening. The prophets, hundreds of years before Jesus was born, actually spoke about the king coming to Jerusalem riding on a donkey. Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9. The triumphal entry happened in Jerusalem. The death of Jesus, the burial of Jesus, the resurrection of Jesus, and the ascension of Jesus back to heaven all happened in Jerusalem. The disciples gathered at Jerusalem originally, and the gospel, the good news that God sent Jesus to die for us, that began to be proclaimed beginning at Jerusalem. Those are all the things that happened in the past, written before Christ was even born, up until him coming, dying, resurrecting, and ascending, that have already been completed in Jerusalem. In fact, we live in the gospel age, where for thousands of years the gospel has been going forth. It started in Jerusalem and it's gone to the ends of the world. But in the future, many other things will happen in Jerusalem. You'll have the ministry and work of the Antichrist. He will sit in the temple of God, claiming to be God in Jerusalem. In Zechariah chapter 12, we read how the world ends. The nations gather against Jerusalem. The second coming of Jesus Christ happens in Jerusalem. On that day, his feet stand on the Mount of Olives. Zechariah chapter 14, that's in Jerusalem. The millennial reign, Jesus reigns for 1,000 years from Jerusalem with his saints. And finally, there's a new heaven, a new earth, and a new Jerusalem, a capital city of heaven that comes down from God as part of the new creation. So from Genesis to Revelation, you see the entire redemptive plan of God flows through Jerusalem.